And when it comes to a small little pocket knife like this, let's get into sharpening. We'll show you how it's done. Most people in the kitchen or backyard pit masters, people who love to cook, are going to be using a variety of knives. The paring knife is probably one of the most common knives used by home cooks and people in the culinary world. It is a small knife. It is very effective to do a lot of different things with it, and it gets dull quicker than most knives in the kitchen because of its heavy use. Now, the Hone Rolling Knife Sharpener is a great sharpener with its nice smooth ball bearings to sharpen these knives. Because of its patent pending design on two sides for the small knives, it excels in its sharpening with those knives. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how I sharpened this tiny little letter knife with the Hone Sharpener. It's pretty sharp. I have a knife that I bought that's an inexpensive knife that I destroy. Now don't be worried, because the Hone Sharpener pioneered this type of device. They also pioneered the removable magnetic discs that are on the knife sharpener. You can take off, they're dual-sided, and interchange the discs. The Hone comes with two discs to start. It comes with a 400 and a 1000 on each end. And now Hone has a professional sharpening kit that has the entire line of discs from a 200, 400, 700, 1000, and a 3000 ceramic that go with this device, including a real nice leather strop, and you'll be able to do everything with the Hone when it comes to sharpening your knives. For the small knives, this block is set to 15 or 20 degrees, and in this case, I'm going to sharpen these knives to 20 degrees. There's a 20-degree indicator. Other rolling knife sharpeners that do not have this and have just a smooth block have a big problem, especially with these kind of knives, where when you put the knife on, it starts to slide down, or it starts moving because it's not held properly. But because of the Hone design, this knife fits right in place and lets you sharpen. You just set your knife down like so, and you can use number 2 or number 1. This knife has been extremely dulled. Now I'm going to do a test and show you with the Bess tester how dull this is. This is the only way you can tell when you're watching somebody sharpening a knife if the knife is actually being sharpened or if they're making it more dull. I've seen videos where people actually do something and make the knife duller, but you can conceal that unless you show them the Bess testing. This Bess tester will show me the pressure, the grams that are put down on this scale, and this knife will slice through the test media to show you the sharpness. I do this in all my videos, and I'll do it again here to show you there's no tricks, no smoke and mirrors, nothing but factual information you're going to see on me doing the test. Let's go ahead and show you the test on this knife that's been dulled first. We'll go and do the sharpening, and then we'll show you the final test and let you be the judge on how well the Hone sharpens these smaller knives. We're going to go ahead and set this on the fulcrum. We're going to push it down nice and slowly and evenly. Watch the digits increase, and when that snaps, that's how sharp our knife is. $730, 730. 730. If we take our chart, we have a scale here that goes from 2,000 all the way down to 0. The lowest I've ever gotten is a 50, but 50, as you can see here, 50 is double-edged razor sharpness. This knife was a 730, so if we go up to here to 730, it is a moderately rolled edge, moderately rolled edge. Anything you see in these two arrows means the edge needs maintenance. Anything that's below a 350 is considered factory sharp. 300 to 350 is what a lot of knives that come out of the factory show at. We'll go ahead and sharpen this up and see how low we can get our score on the Bess tester. So the Hone sharpener comes with two sides out of the box and the base to hold the knives. The number 1 side is a 400. Number 2 side is a 1000. I recommend that you get the new professional kit that is now out that has all of the discs, including the 200, the 400, the 700, the 1000, the 3000 ceramic, and the leather strop. Take your knife, place it on the 20-degree angle, in this case. Most of these knives, the Western knives, will be 20 degrees, they may be 15, but Hone has in production an angle device that I can't really discuss much in this video, but you'll see it unveiled to the world by myself. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the world release of the Any Angle guide, but it will allow this to do any angle to sharpen any knife. It'll be another first from Hone in the knife sharpening industry when it comes to rolling knife sharpeners. Place your knife down on a firm surface, and then you're going to start with the number 1 side, which is the 400. Now this knife's pretty damaged, over 700 on the Bess. I may even start this with a 200 to really get that apex ground down, get any really bad roughness off the top, any smooth areas off, and start getting that apex sharp. So we're going to start with the number 1 that's marked here, and we're just going to take this and we're going to roll it back and forth across the knife. Now a lot of people ask, how many times do I do it? There's not really a right answer. Whatever you do on one side, make sure you do it equally on the other side. That way you're building the apex up evenly versus sharpening one side and then only doing a little bit on the other side, and you end up getting a strange type of angle on that knife. So take the sharpener, place it up against the blade, and just roll it back and forth. Now you'll hear you're sharpening the knife. The one thing about this is that it's going to take a while because it is so dull. I'm counting as I'm talking to you, and I'm probably going to start out with about 40 to 50 strokes. If you go slow, that's okay. If you go fast, that's okay as well. If you go fast, it's just going to get done a little quicker. Now we have approximately 50 on this side, and we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do 50 on this side. I want to make sure I'm getting all that roughness out for a while until I really work on getting a burr on one side and then getting it off and working the other side. So we're going to go 50 on this side as well, again, to even out that apex. And then we'll show you the next step. Now we've done approximately 50 passes on each side. Make sure you have a rag that you don't mind staining. I used to use dish rags and do this and then stain them, and my wife would yell at me. So make sure you get your own dedicated knife cleaning rag. Now we wipe this off, and I can already see the knife has a nice shine on the edge. It's nowhere near what it's going to be when we get finished. But I can see on this blade that looking at it, down here, there's still some rough little areas that I can see. The other thing you can do is you can do a paper test, which isn't really going to work very well right now because the paper test is for a sharp knife to see if you've missed any spots or if there's any roughness going across this. Typically, I would do this and come across. I'll give you a good demonstration. We'll use my little one that I sharpened, and you come down across like so. Very smooth all the way down. As the blade crosses the paper, you can feel it's very smooth and there's no roughness and there's no jagged edges on that paper as you're coming down. Now, that's not going to happen with this one. I'd be shocked because we haven't really sharpened it fully yet. So with this one, you take it and pull it down, and I'm actually surprised it's cutting. But you can see the back side back here in the back still. If we just did that, it's just tearing the paper. See, it's not really making it smooth. Now up here, we've got a little sharper, and it's going in there, but I can feel it's rough, and if you look at this, you can see the paper is very rough coming down. It's not cutting smooth. That's really the paper test. It's not to tell you this knife is wicked sharp, because once it's sharp enough and we're down in the even 350 to 375 range, it's going to cut through the paper. But when you get down into the lower ranges, it will slice through like butter. It should be perfectly smooth, and that will tell you did a good job on sharpening your knife. It's not going to tell you how sharp it is. That's what the Bess tester is for, but it does give you a good idea. Now that we have sharpened this with the 400 grit, I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to take the 400 grit, and I'm going to work to get a burr on one side, and then we're going to turn it over, and we'll shave off that burr, and then we'll move up to the 1000 grit. After that, we go to the leather strop, and we're done. This will show you how to use the Hone basic system that comes with the 2 grits out of the box without needing anything else. We're going to go and do passes now until we get a burr, which I think within 40 or 50, we're going to get a burr. So we're at 50, we're going to test for a burr, and you should feel a click with your fingernail, a little click at the top, and there's no click. So there's no burr yet formed, and that's okay because sometimes it takes a while when you do this to form the burr. This isn't a speed contest, it's sharpening, which sometimes takes a long time based on how dull the knife is. Now we're at another 50. And I want to show you actually how I dulled this knife. Now we get comments in some of the videos that say, it took you that long to sharpen the knife? That's ridiculous. Well, no, it's not. Not when you do this and take the knife and you destroy that blade and you're flattening that apex, which is no longer an apex, it's the flat piece of metal. That's what I essentially did using this flattening stone for whetstones. So it's badly damaged. Now we had the other 50, so we're our third pass, and I actually feel a little burr. And I'm running my thumbnail up the top, and I can actually see a little bit of it at the very top there. I want to turn this around, and we want to do the other side. Now, some people are left-hand dominant. You can do it this way. I'm right-hand dominant, so I keep it this way facing me. And then we're going to go ahead again, and we're going to do 50 now on this side to take the burr off. Once the burr's established, we get that burr off with another 50, we'll be in a good position to then switch over to the 1000. We'll form a burr with the 1000 and keep on going. Now we're at 50, and we want to check it out and feel here, no burr. So we'll clean off our knife. We want to check it out and feel here, no burr, no burr. Still a little rough, almost a burr. I can feel with this side, so we're gonna turn it back over again because we had it this way. So we're gonna turn it back over this way. And I'm only gonna go about 10 passes on this one. And I wanna take the burr off and also get that edge kind of, not polished, but smooth again. So we're gonna go 10 on this side. And now I don't feel any of that roughness and we're good to go. You can see the metal's coming off my fingers probably. So now we're going to switch it up. We're staying on the 20 degrees, and we're going to take from the 1 disc over to the number 2 disc, which is the 1000, and we're going to start sharpening from that. Now for the 1000, we're going to continue on this one until we get to the point where I feel it's maximized at a 1000. We'll do our leather strop, which I recommend everybody strops a knife after it's done. That's kind of the final step. But we're going to test it actually without a strop, so you can see that with this kit, when you buy it and you do this, what level of performance you'll get without even doing a leather strop. Now, here we go with the 1000. Sounds smoother. You don't have that rough coarseness because the diamond on here is much finer. But we'll go ahead and get this for a while, speed it up, and then we'll take a feel and see if we got that burr going. Now, the one tip I want to tell people is listen to your sharpener and listen to your knife. The sharpener is silent. You can't really hear it. It's just super smooth and it rolls beautifully. Now, when you put it up against the blade, you'll hear the metal, but it's going to sound different in different places because this knife, obviously, when I dulled it up using my flattening stone, I'm not perfect on the pressure. I'm doing it at different angles. I'm going back and forth. So the metal's not going to be sharp in many areas, or it's going to be dull in many areas at different angles and different degrees of dullness. So by hearing this, I can hear one part of this knife is pretty smooth, but I hear some roughness as I get back here towards the heel of the blade. So you could always work on one section if you need to, if it's really bad, or you can go the whole length. Now it may seem like a long time, but 50 passes happens really quick. Now we're gonna go ahead and clean it off and see if we have a burr. Actually, you feel a burr that quick, I'm impressed. That's because the metal now is very thin at the top. We're getting that sharpening going, and that metal is able to start moving over. So because we did 50 on that side, if I do 50 on this side, we're probably gonna push the burr to the other side as well. So we'll go ahead and start evening out the knife because of course 50 on one side, we need to do 50 on the other side. We'll remove the burr and then we'll go to the test. So that's our 50. And now we're gonna go ahead and flip it over. From 50, I'm gonna go down to 20. That's 20. Now we're gonna go over and we'll do another 20. Then we're gonna go do 10. Flip it over and do another 10. And then we're gonna go ahead and flip it over and do a 5. This disc comes off. You can wash it if you want. I go ahead and just rub it off, take off any excess on here, and we'll go ahead and put it back on, and now we're going to go down to 5, 5, we'll go down to 3, 3, and then 1, and we're done. That's it. And our knife is sharpened, and it looks pretty good here. We have some nice reflection on there that looks even. And again, this is a real cheapo knife, so the knife itself, the steel on the knife isn't high quality, but it's looking pretty good. So now we're gonna go and do the Bess test and see what this knife scores. Now that we sharpened our knife, we want to see if we can get this in the 700s down to at least 300, which of course is factory sharp. So we're going to go and use our Bess test again. It is on. Place this on the tester and see where we're at again in the same location on the knife. So now we're down to 460. Somebody might say, well, that's not very sharp, but you have to remember we took it down from 7 something into 4 something. Again, I was hoping for 300. It didn't happen. I'm showing you the legitimate results because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and strop the knife and see what happens once we take this and do our leather strop. Now we'll go and see once we do our leather strop what this ends up being. So leather strop, you just go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and run this across here. Take off the micro abrasions, start polishing that edge. And we'll do the other side. And some people will ask, well, what is the grit of the leather strop? I don't have an exact answer for that. I've asked people, and it's usually at least a 2000 or higher. There's a lot of things you can use on your strop, such as gunny juice or Tormek compound, which is a 3000 grit. But the plain leather itself, without anything else on it, is enough to take this knife and refine it. Take off the micro abrasions and start polishing the apex. The way the manufacturer tells you to do the test is to do it 3 times and you average it out. So we've got this now at a point where I'll do the thumbnail test, put it down, 45-degree angle, and I can't slide it across. So it's biting the nail. That's really good. Let's see how much sharper we got with this. Now keep in mind for this video, I could have spent a lot more time on this and get this knife down really razor sharp because I've done it before and you'll see it in my other videos. But for this test, I wanted to just show you the proper way to use the device and that you could actually sharpen a small knife. And I'm going to show you when we're done here how I did the little tiny knife because that's kind of impressive. But this will sharpen all your small knives, even down to 2-inch paring knives, no problem at all whatsoever. The other rolling knife sharpeners don't really do it that well. And we'll go ahead and do the test and see where we're at. Now, we're at a 134. 134. Now, I'm going to do it a couple times here to show you without cutting the film. This is all legit. We went from a, 4 something down to 134, and people say, that's impossible. I've seen it happen a lot. And leather strops can have the compounds on them that go from 4,000 grit. I've got some leather strops as well on the side here that I'm not using, so I'm not going to cut the video. I have a strop that is a 4,000 leather strop. I have an 8,000. This is with a diamond compound on here, leather strop. And I have a 15,000 leather strop, which will take polishing. If I took this and did those 3 strops, the results also are going to drop even further. But I wanted to show you with just the simple leather strop that you'll get with your Pro Kit for the Hone, what you get down to. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do this test again. We're going to go ahead and zero it out. We'll do our test again. Make sure this is aligned. This is actually a magnetic fulcrum that is used to support the knife, so you're not, moving the knife all around. You set it in the fulcrum nice and firm, and you slowly just press down on the knife until you get your reading. That's what we're going to do. Here we go. Now this one was 209. 209. So we'll do one more, and we'll average it out, and that will be the official score of this knife. That will tell us where we're at when we're done. And I try to get it in the exact place if I can for testing, but I also do test the various areas of the knife to see if I've got sharpness all the way across the blade. So it's an art, it's not a science. You can do it however you want, whatever works for you. This is what works for me. Again, I am not a professional when it comes to being a knife expert or sharpener. I am a knife enthusiast. I do use a lot of knives, from Western knives, American made, German made. I have some knives from Chinese made and Japanese handmade knives. The art of sharpening really is done so many different ways, but for people that don't want to really learn sharpening because there's a lot to it and want something really simple, the Hone does all your knives, including the really small paring knives as well. So we'll go ahead and zero it out and do one more test. And this one I'm going to put in a little bit more so we can see what that back side of that knife looks like. So slide that in a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and do the back side of the knife, make sure it's zeroed out, and let's go and check it out. 178, 178, 178. And that shows you how important stropping on the leather is. However, I will tell you this. This knife was sharpened correctly. It was sharpened well, and although it read at a 400-ish, it does not mean it's not going to get to be razor sharp. This is only the 1000 grit. There is the 3000 ceramic for the Hone, and I will show that and demonstrate that when the Pro Kit video comes out, but you'll see me using it on the Hone video right up here. Gives you a lot more information, a lot more detail. Now, the bonus for today and this video is this small little knife. And how sharp did I get it? I got it wicked sharp. This is about a 56 right now. I did that with the Hone, the 400 and the 1000, but I also used the ceramic that I do have, and I did the leather stropping, but all with the Hone, and then of course the leather strop, and that's it. I got this thing razor sharp, actually double-edged razor blade sharp. So with this, the small knife guide, you might look at this and say, well, there's a problem, Jay, because if I put this in here, the blade is so low, which is the problem with a lot of things, even the paring knives, that it's not going to hit the edge. That's correct. But because this has neodymium magnets, rare earth magnets, super strong, I can take this knife, place it on here, and you'll notice there's cutouts. Cutouts on here? It's for a reason. So we don't hit the edge and we can get this tip sharpened. So you put this on, and we're going to actually angle this up just till it comes up at the top, just like so. Now you might think by doing this, the knife's going to shove and move all over and change angles. It doesn't. You don't have to press very hard, but we can use the 1000 side, put it up against this blade like so, and it's a very small stroke, but you'll hear it's all metal. if we hit all rubber, this is what you hear. It doesn't even really roll very well. So you can take this, put it against here, and even if it drops a little bit, it still hits that metal. We can flip it over like so, put it up at an angle, just like this. And this is probably the smallest it would ever do. You have to be careful. You don't want to press too hard or shove the knife down, but it can be accomplished. And this is the smallest knife I was able to test and was really excited I was able to sharpen this knife. So again, up against the knife, and watch the knife here. You might see a little movement, but that knife is not slipping. And listen, all metal. Now, I just dulled this knife because I'm using a 1000 grit back on this, which was, you know, all nice and ready to go, nice and polished, but it doesn't damage the knife, doesn't hurt it, and it actually may not even made it that much duller, but it is, I mean, it's still super sharp. Let's go and test, see what it's like just for fun. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. You will notice that I answer all respectful comments, whether they're positive or negative. I will not answer comments with vulgarity that are completely disrespectful, and I will actually probably delete those because nobody wants to see it, and I'm about positivity, creating a good community, and I don't care if you don't like something. You can tell me it was done wrong. That's fine. I leave everything. You start using vulgar language, things like that, it's just not appropriate. So here we go. We're going to zero this out, and let's do our test. We're going to take our fulcrum. We're going to move this up all the way up against here because it is a very small blade. We need something to hold and support this blade, and let's see where we went. I won't be surprised if this is actually, it's sharp, but duller than it was because we took the 1000 up against it. Let's take a look and see. I guess I was wrong. 52. 52. I told you I'd get down to 50, which I do. And this is sharpened with the Hone Rolling Knife Sharpener. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, watch everything else, and drop a comment. Let's chat about knife sharpening and about cooking in the kitchen. Smoke on, baby.